appreciate that very much. Mr. McGovern.
Thank you very much. First, I think I want to ask unanimous consent to insert into the record the Massie-Khanna resolution, because you keep on saying that it doesn't protect the victims, but there's in yellow here, there's some pretty explicit language about protecting the identity of the victim, so I don't want there to be any confusion.
Without objection.
And, Mr. Comer says it's unnecessary, but this bill we're doing right now is unnecessary because you're already doing something. So I can't help but feel that this is like cover. And I got to be honest with you, we've been trying to bring, legislation to the floor. We're trying to, amend bills to try to get this administration to do what Trump said he was going to do during the campaign, and that is release all the files. We had a recess early because people didn't want to take a vote on it. And I think, I appreciate the niceties of both of you appearing before this committee right now, but I got to tell you, I think what's going on here today is the Republicans are terrified. And I think we all know why. And that is because the president doesn't want to release all the files. I mean, after promising that he would release them during the campaign, then he issued, that was in 2024, and then 2025, he says, it's all a big hoax. It's perpetrated by Democrats and some stupid Republicans. That's his quote verbatim. So when you say all Republicans want this stuff released, I don't think that guy does.
That's right.
And what you're telling us that you're going to release some of the files tonight, if I heard Mr. Garcia correctly, 97% of which is already out in public. So we get 3% that's new. I don't know what it's going to say. But I just don't understand what the big deal is. Why can't the administration just release the files? You can do the investigation, but just release all the files. Trump and the people he put in charge of the FBI and the DOJ promised that they would. And it's just kind of strange that they haven't done so yet. I mean, don't you think? I mean, we just want to know, what are they trying to hide? Why is this such a difficult thing for them to do? Before we left for recess, you guys all told us that you wanted to release the files and that a non-binding resolution authored by Mr. Norman was an important step forward to getting the Epstein Files released. Why hasn't that been called up yet? Mr. Scott had the authority to do so for weeks. He could do so this week. Hasn't done it. I don't know why not. Maybe Mr. Norman can explain to us why his Epstein resolution never made it to the floor. Maybe Mr. Scott can tell us why, would like to share with us why he decided not to call up the rule for its consideration when it was well within his power to do so. But honestly, the answers they give really don't matter, because the resolution was nothing more than a distraction to buy time. And I think we're doing the same again today. But today's resolution is even worse. At least Mr. Norman's do-nothing resolution had a deadline of 30 days. If I'm reading your resolution correctly, there's no deadline. It's just an open-ended distraction with the same goal. Protect the powerful, hide the files, and buy some time for people to forget. So, all that has to happen for the files to be released is one thing. The Trump administration needs to release them. That is all. And if that's too complicated for some Republicans to get their arms around, that's okay, because they're in luck. Someone has already done the work for them, because there is a bipartisan bill offered by Mr. Massie and Mr. Khanna that would force the administration to release the Epstein files while protecting the victims. And Mr. Comer, just for the record, I think you're not in support of the Massie-Khanna bill, but let me ask you formally, do you support the Massie-Khanna bill to release the Epstein files?
We're doing that as we speak. And you said some of the documents were going to be released. All 34,000 documents will be online, hopefully in the next 5 minutes, if they're not now.
Yeah, but 97% of which we've already seen. Mr. Garcia.
Yeah, I just want to add, first, appreciate the comments, but we should be clear. If it's true, as the chairman said, that every Republican supports disclosure around the Epstein files, then every Republican should sign the discharge petition from Congressman Khanna and Congressman Massie. There's no question. And the key difference in that petition as well is that petition ensures, one, that members of Congress are all on the record on releasing the files, And two, that petition, as you have in front of you, also ensures that the files actually go to the American public, that they're actually released to the public. I appreciate that the subpoena that we forced a vote on is going to our committee, and it's important work. Most of the documents that were sent to our committee, those initial documents were given to right-wing influencers back in February. The files and the full report, according to the Attorney General, were sitting on her desk, ready to be released. We know that the Attorney General herself has shared with the President directly that he is also in the files. The reason, and we don't understand why this cover-up by the President continues to not release the full files. And so the discharge petition is an important additional step forward for the Congress, the full Congress, to be on record to release the full files. And so that piece is important. And it's clear that, well, maybe there are some Republicans in Congress, and hopefully all, that want to see disclosure. That is not the case with the Republicans in the White House and the Department of Justice.
So 7 months to get released, 97% of which already been released. But again, Mr. Comer, I mean, do you support the Massie-Khanna resolution, yes or no?
We're already doing it. And let me say, Mr. The discharge petition does not have the force of law. We've already subpoenaed.
You can begin by
look,
saying no, and I'll let you.
No, look,
Mr.
Mr. McGovern, it's very disappointing that you're trying to politicize this. We're trying to get answers. We're trying to do everything that's in this discharge petition, but you're trying to politicize it.
No, it's a yes or no question. It's not a trick question. I mean, do you think...
We've already done what the discharge petition's asking.
Do you think the resolution saying to keep doing what you were doing is better than a bill that can become law?
The bill has no force of law. It has no force of the law. You're just trying to do a political stunt.
Look, ask the question, Mr. McGovern, let him.
Well, I was asking a question, he interrupted me.
Okay.
It's a simple yes or no question. Simple yes or no question.
We're already doing it.
All right, well, that's not a yes or no, but do you think the resolution saying to keep doing what you were doing is better than a bill that can become law, which would require the release of all the files?
It doesn't have the force of the law. It's just a political stunt. It's just a political stunt, and you know.
This is a resolution. The Massie-Khanna bill would become law. If all you Republicans want everything released, then, you know, you could vote for it, and then if he decides to veto it, you could override the veto.
The subpoena goes further than the discharge petition. Discharge petition is just a political stunt. Just a political stunt.
All right, so
and look, we have done everything bipartisan in this investigation. This is an opportunity. And I think most of the Democrats on the Oversight Committee want to be bipartisan in this, Mr. McGovern.
So you're not going to answer my question, but look, we're meeting here under an emergency procedure to consider this resolution, which, if I'm reading it right, simply tells your committee to continue doing what you're doing. Do you need this resolution to continue doing what you're doing, Mr. Garcia? I mean,
we don't. The resolution as presented is not necessary. Again, we want disclosure. We want the files released. But what should have happened is we should vote on the discharge petition and move it forward and then continue our work. Can I say one more thing, Mr. Ranking Member? I also want to be clear that the DOJ has not been forthcoming or presented everything that we've asked for in the subpoena. And I think it's important that even in our recent interaction with the DOJ, they're essentially now not giving us any new additional information as to when we're receiving the rest of the files. And so having Congress act and taking a vote on the full release of the files is an important additional step, which is why the discharge petition is important. And the resolution should not somehow take precedent or discourage members from somehow signing the discharge petition.
so help me understand what we're considering right now. Does this resolution grant you any new authority?
No.
I think the resolution will send a signal if we end up in court. If, as the victim stated today, there's some of the most powerful and some of the richest names in the world were involved in a cover-up, we're going to end up in court. And I think the resolution will demonstrate that Congress is working in a bipartisan manner, not trying to be partisan, to get the truth to the American people and hold people accountable.
Yeah, why don't we do both? I mean, Mr. Massey, last time I checked, is a Republican. Other Republicans will sign that. I mean, why can't we do both?
I think we can. I think.
Excuse me, Mr. McGovern, would the gentleman yield a moment?
Yes.
We can. We certainly can do
Okay,
both.
well, let's do-
We'll pass this resolution here, and then if sufficient people sign the discharge petition, then it will come out. And it's my understanding, there is a significant difference in the resolution that we have here and the Massey resolution, and that is, this resolution demands disclosure, whereas the Massey resolution does not. So I think we can do both.
Yeah.
And let that happen. That we want to show that we want this done in a very
Well-
important way.
Well, if we can do both, then why is the Rules Committee standing in the way of allowing, I'm going to have a vote on the Massey, Khanna resolution. Well, why would why would Republicans of the Rules Committee block us from just bringing it to the floor? We could vote on both.
Because they've already started the discharge
Well,
petition.
that does,
They've already started it.
yeah, well, that's a nice, well, that's, whatever, that's, I don't even want to say what I'm thinking about that answer, but let me just ask, this is a yes or no question. Does the administration have the power to release the Epstein Files with appropriate redactions to protect the victims and the survivors? Do they have the authority to do that?
I think so with the
Okay.
subpoena.
Yes.
All right, they do, but they're not. And, Mr. Comey, this resolution that is before us right now says that you're investigating mismanagement that led to Mr. Epstein's death. Who was the President of the United States when Mr. Epstein died in custody?
I would assume it would have been Trump.
Yeah. And I have another, just one last question. You referred to Ghislaine Maxwell as a terrible individual. And I guess the question is, maybe you can enlighten us, what have you done to investigate why Ms. Maxwell was moved to a minimum security facility? I mean, she's a convicted child predator, sent to prison. She testifies before some people, the administration, she didn't testify, she answers questions that are put forward by somebody in this administration. She basically says the president didn't do anything wrong, and then all of a sudden is moved to a minimum security facility. Are you going to do, have you done a hearing on that? Are you doing a hearing on that?
We've subpoenaed Ms. Maxwell. She sent a letter via her attorneys and said that she requested that we wait for the deposition until after the Supreme Court rules on her appeal. We're hoping that's this month. So as soon as the Supreme Court rules on her appeal, we'll go in and do a formal deposition. So Mr. Garcia will be there, I'll be there if he wants to be there.
I'm not interested.
And those questions can be asked. Those are legitimate questions.
Well, but I don't think Ms. Maxwell can answer those questions. I mean, I listened to some of her interview, and it sounded like there was no cross-examination. I'm just curious why, after she said what she said, was she moved? So it's not about Ms. Maxwell, it's about somebody made the decision to move her, which I don't think was expected. Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be really clear. First of all, Democrats on the committee, we did not support moving Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony after the Supreme Court heard her appeal. In fact, that was a decision that the majority made that we did not support. We think that Ms. Maxwell, before she was interviewed by Donald Trump's former personal lawyer, should have been in front of a bipartisan committee in a deposition. And so, to be clear, and I think it's safe to say that it's an outrage and shameful that Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a facility where she is now more comfortable and has more access to folks both on the outside and her ability to move freely, when she has victimized over hundreds and hundreds of women. And I'll add one more thing to that. We've written to the DOJ, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, demanding answers, yet no response from the Attorney General. We have no idea why she was moved and at whose direction was she moved to that facility.
But she was moved, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, by this current administration, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think...
I would think that, you know, I mean, this is so outrageous that a big part of the investigation of your oversight committee should be on that as well. And I mean, I hope that you pursue that. But again, I mean, I think it is imperative that we pass the Massey-Khanna bill, because I think it does have the force of law, and because I don't trust this administration to basically, I mean, something's going on here. I don't know what, but there's a reason why everybody went from we're going to release the files one day to the next day saying we're not. So in the spirit of full transparency and the spirit of demanding that they do what they said they were going to do, I think I think we need to do more than what we're doing. Mr. Comer?
Yeah, I was just told by counsel, the documents pertaining to the move would fall under the Department of Justice subpoena. So I think that's a fair question that I'm confident if we don't ask it, Mr. Garcia will whenever we're.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this whole episode has been outrageous, and it's disgusting, and it's been strange, especially the way this Congress has dealt with it up to this point. And so some of us believe we ought to, we ought to also pass the Massey-Khanna bill, and I hope that we will do that. And I hope my friends on the Rules Committee will allow us to offer it, because I'll bring it up as an amendment. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. McGovern. Ms. Fishbach, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam